To really be excellent at something, there has to be that obsessiveness, like a natural curiosity. That helps if you got a natural curiosity. If you're not working, your competition is.
It's obsessive. When I get to something and I get addicted to something, I want to do it.
This is Moneyberg. Today I'm chatting with the homie Belal Muhammad. Belal's got himself rapidly rising and is currently at number 5 in the welterweight rankings at UFC. 175 pounds for those that don't have ESPN Plus to watch his dope shit. And man, you got a hell of a story. Also from Chicago, you got a great story that you grew up in some difficult circumstances at times, and similar to myself, you thought, well, to hell with this shit, I got to do better. So I'm thank you for stopping by. Thank you for he and I were training a bit earlier, so you're showing me some new ways to have a sore shoulder and a few chokes and flips and tricks that are pretty dope, and I appreciate your help with that too, man. Yeah, what is your Chicago story growing up? I know in recent times you had trouble with your family, the fucking crazy riot stuff. People are setting your family's businesses on fire and all sorts of drama. And maybe it was a start there and then bounce it back in time. So how'd you overcome that one, and how did things start off originally?
Yeah, it was rough, especially during the riots when you're seeing your city burn and you're like, man, everything's going wrong. Like, why are people doing this? Why is this happening? Then you're like realizing, all right, these people are just quarantined for this long. People aren't able to work. People aren't able to make money. And it's like, you want to sympathize with them. You want to understand them because, thankfully my family, we weren't at that. We weren't struggling like that where we're like, we needed that check from the government, where we needed that. And like, if we didn't have that, we're not going to eat. We don't have to worry about when our next meal is. But growing up, I'm always working in, not in the best neighborhoods. So I've always seen people, and I've seen like the high class and I've seen the low class, and I've seen the low class where we own a cell phone store. We had a cell phone store for 15 years. My dad owned it, and it's not in the best neighborhood, but like we've seen people all the time. I've seen people come in where they're paying $3 a day for a plan just to have their phone for the day, and I'm like, you're paying $3 a day. The monthly plan is $25. Why not just pay for the whole month? And then a kid, literally 16 years old, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be alive tomorrow, and you're like, is that how these people think? Is how like how do you have that mindset of like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be alive tomorrow, so I'm just gonna put this $3 on today? But like, it makes you sympathize with people and realize what they're going through. So then when you see the riots happening, you're seeing this happening. You're like, my family's been in this neighborhood for 15 years. We know everybody by name. We know everybody. We've seen kids grow up to be adults, and they know my dad. They come in and say what's up to him, and then you see, no, nothing's gonna happen to our store. And then all of a sudden, bam, the alarm goes off. You're like, man, dude, we have to tell my dad not to go there because he wants to go check on his store. And it's like, relax, we don't want to go there. We don't know what's going to happen. People are going crazy. What if somebody hits you? My dad's a 60-year-old guy. And so we go down there the next morning. We see everything smashed. We check the cameras. Somebody was literally trying to set it on fire. Everything's taken out of there. There's glass falling from the ceiling, the windows. And my dad's sitting there trying to sweep it up. And my first thing is anger. I'm like,
hell yeah, this the appropriate response.
Yeah, I'm like, stop cleaning this stuff. What are you doing? He's like, I don't want no kids running in here. That was his mindset. I don't want no kids running in here, stepping on glass or getting cut up. And I'm like, F these kids. We don't need it. They're the ones who did it. And then, it wasn't them. And like, everybody in the neighborhood is coming by and they're like, it wasn't us. We saw that people were doing it. People were just driving up and doing it. And then, it's just a different mindset where I'm just trying to switch it off from like anger to like, where you're trying to sympathize with it, but like, this is my dad's business. He wasn't the richest guy. He had to grind for everything he got. And he put food on the table with the store. I'm a young kid. I'm like, he's going to pass it on to his kids. And that's what he wanted to do. And like, now they took it away from him. They took that away from him. And you're seeing his heart break because this is what he built up. And it's like, I didn't know what to do, but I'm telling him, like, it's fine. Like, whatever. We pick it all up and we move on from it. We don't have to sit there and cry about it. There's nothing, like, what am I going to cry about? I can't cry to the mayor. She's not going to do anything about it. I can't cry to somebody to give me money because everybody's out here struggling. So it's like, I don't need nobody to feel sorry for me. So we're like, all right, well, we cleaned it up. Insurance didn't give us no money for it. It was going to be over like 20 grand to fix everything up. But I told my dad, you know what? You worked enough. Like, now I put more on myself, where it's like, now I can help my parents. Now I'm at a point where I'm in the UFC, I'm making enough money. So with the other stuff, where now I could help my parents who helped build me up from the beginning. I never had to worry about, I want these shoes or I want this or that. Anything I asked for, my parents always gave it to me. And we weren't the richest. So like, now I'm able to help them and support them. It just means a lot that I'm able to do that for them now. But rewinding all the way back to the childhood days.
You got good memory. A lot of people would lose that part.
The childhood days, growing up in Chicago in a Muslim household, I was very competitive. I was one of those kids. Nowadays, you don't see no kids outside playing or anything like that. But I was a kid who was always outside till 10 p.m., 11 p.m. My mom and dad are always calling you, where you at? But I wasn't a bad kid, but I was like just having fun, going to play basketball, football. I was always athletic, but I was never like in karate or anything like that. That's one thing that my parents never put me in because their parents never put them in. Mm-hmm. Like the family sequence is always my grandfather owned the store, my uncle owned the store, and my dad owned the store. So it's like that's what you think your mindset is as a kid, as being in a Middle Eastern family, that you're thinking that, all right, I'm gonna eventually work in a store. You don't think that I'm gonna be an athlete or I'm gonna be a lawyer or a doctor, because nobody in my family was that. Everybody in my family owns a store. My uncle owns a store. My brothers work in a store. My cousins work in a store. So that was my end game, was like I could always go to the store. But for me, I was like, you know what? I'm competitive and I'm obsessive with everything I do. There was a point in my life where when I was in college, I learned how to play poker, and I was like obsessed with it. I was like literally gambling, and it's to me, it's being a religious guy, it's like a sin to gamble. So I was like, but like I was obsessed with it. And I was obsessed not even with the money part, with just the competition part, the aspect of winning, beating somebody, outsmarting somebody, outskilling somebody, and it's a skill to play poker. And I was just like, all right, well, I'm not an athlete or anything like that. I didn't expect to be an athlete in the UFC or anything like that, but when I'm thinking back to it, I'm like, well, I was competitive in this. I always played basketball. I always played football. In high school, I wanted to be a basketball player. I wanted to make the NBA, but I'm not 6'6", and I'm not dunking. I don't have crazy natural ability. So my brothers and cousins are like, dude, get out of here. You're not going to make the basketball team. I was in the south side of Chicago at Bogan High School on 79th and Pulaski, where unless you're 6'6", you're not playing on a team. So my brothers pulled me out of the basketball tryouts and like, you're going to be a wrestler. So I'm like, but whatever. Like I said, it's obsessive. When I get to something and I get addicted to something, I want to do it. Like if I go to a wrestling practice, I get picked up, slammed. It's like, how did I allow that guy to do that to me? I want to get that back. I'm tough. I'm not gonna let this guy pick me up and slam me. I'm not gonna let a guy manhandle me. It's 1-on-1. Like I should be able to beat this guy. This guy can't beat me. So I got addicted to wrestling for those 2 years. But then, like I said, it wasn't the best school. So once the coach, my freshman year, my coach left. Then my sophomore year, I found a new coach that I connected with. It was a great coach. Then he left my sophomore year. Then the junior year, school didn't have funding, so we had a security guard be the coach. And I was like, I'm not going to wrestle with under a security guard. It was a security guard. Senior year, a different security guard. And I was like, well, I guess I'm done wrestling. My next mindset was, all right, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to be a lawyer. I still had it in my mind where it's like, I could still end up being, if I fail at being a lawyer, I could always go work in a store. My dad owns a store, so that's always my backup plan. But I'm like, you know what? Let me just go for it. Go to college. University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Had my cousin out there, him showing me the ropes, teaching me how to do stuff. I never lived away from home. Always had my mom do everything for me. So living on your own, it changes a lot of things, and it matures you in a big way. So being out there, it like opened up my mind to different things. And then whenever I come home and visit on the weekend, that's when one time I saw the newspaper, and my old sophomore high school wrestling coach, Lewis Taylor, I saw him in the newspaper fighting. And I would watch UFC, but I never was like, oh, let me try it.
Shout out to Lewis Taylor. I know you're watching Derek Moneyberg.
I would always, I would watch it, but I would never think that's what I want to do. But I messaged him. I was like, hey, what happened to you? Where did you go my junior and senior year? He's like, oh, he was still young when he was the coach. He was like 28 when he was the high school wrestling coach. And he's like, I don't know, being your guys' coach, I felt like I still had something left in me. I had athletic ability, and I was like, I shouldn't be a gym teacher. I shouldn't be a coach. I should be doing something more. And he went and he started pursuing fighting, and he was on Showtime. And I was like, oh, he's like, told me to stop by the gym, went down there, stopped by, started training with him for a little bit. And like I said, once I get into something, I get addicted to it and I get obsessed with stuff. So I started training, started falling in love with the sport. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to transfer to UIC in Chicago so I could be close to his gym. Transfer down here. So now I'm training instead of just on weekends when I would drive from school. Now I'm training every night. I'm training every night and learning. And I'm like, you know what? Let me take a fight. And he said, yeah, I think you're ready for a fight. So I took an amateur fight, won it. And there's no other feeling like getting your hand raised after beating somebody and having your family, it's not a big crowd. It's just your family. 50 people in the crowd watching you and cheering you on, cheering your name. And it's like there's no other feeling like that. And after that feeling, I was like, you know what? Let's keep it going a little bit more. I'm still going to school. I'm still doing that. But I got more and more addicted to it. And I was like, I got my bachelor's degree. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go to law school right now. Let's keep this going until I lose a fight. Once I lose a fight, then we'll go. We'll be done. Because I was like, I want to fight the best guys outside of the UFC because I know that if I make it to the UFC, I want to be ready for it. I don't want to just, my goal is not to make it to the UFC. At least I made it there and I lost, but at least my name was on the UFC banner once or under one of their cards once. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be good enough to be a champion. So then I'm asking for all the best guys outside of the UFC, making $250 to fight in a barn, lying to my parents they're thinking that I'm making at least $5,000, $10,000, telling them that I'm making that $5,000, $10,000, but I'm not doing it at all. Still working at my dad's store on the side, working at my cousin's store on the side, and just having the right people around me. Like my cousin started paying me $1,000 a week, and I was working probably like 20 hours a week with him, but he understood that I had a bigger dream, and he wanted to push me toward it. So he was like, whatever hours you want, I'll give you, and I'm still going to pay you this no matter what you want to do. So I adjusted my schedule at work around my training, but he was still paying me the right amount. And thankfully, I was still able to pay for school, still go to work and everything like that, and still train and still pay for training, everything through him. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without that. So I was comfortable in that spot. So I had it easy financially when I was training and pursuing my dream. Because I know guys now that are literally struggling. They're working 9 to 9 and then trying to find any time to train.
People don't know that, like normal people out there, that they don't understand that to make it to where you're at right now, most guys never could, never would. And, you got to go through some really gritty things. I've had guys, I chatted recently with Anthony Smith, and he told me similar stories, like in Iowa fighting in a barn for a few $100, And, those are... even if you win, you're not paying for your medical bills. If you got to buy a couple Band-Aids. So that's tough, man. There's a grittiness to that a lot of people don't understand.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's like my brothers, I started training my brothers a little bit, giving them boxing lessons and things like that. And then like after one of my fights, they're like, oh, I want to fight. Give me a fight too. Give me an amateur fight. And I'm like, you could literally get your jaw broken. You could get your eye socket broken. It doesn't matter if you're a professional at the highest level or an amateur in a barn. Like, these injuries are real. These fists getting thrown at you are still real. People don't realize that. Like, unless you're willing to be all in, you shouldn't attempt fighting at all. Unless you're willing to go out there and be like, I want to make it to the top. It's not like a hobby I want to be a fighter. Let me get an amateur fight for fun. I'm like, you can do jiu-jitsu for fun. You can learn boxing for fun. But if you want to actually get into a cage and fight, it's not going to be fun. There's nothing fun about it. And a lot of these young fighters, where I tell them, I'm like, I always get the question asked, how do you make it to the UFC? And I'm like, it's not how you make it to the UFC. It's how do you stay loving the sport through all the ups and downs and stay motivated when you're not making any money. And you could go a year without finding a fight. Because there was a point where I was 7-0 and I'm trying to find a fight. And nobody in the area wanted to fight me because I'm a tough fight. And nobody wants to fight a tough fight for $100. And it's like, I had to go a year with no fight at all. And I'm like, what am I even doing this for? Like, I'm just going to work. Why am I wasting time training 3 times a day? And I'm not getting nothing on the other end. And UFC's not calling me right now. So, like, why am I doing this? And you have to find it inside you.
I want to point out to the audience, the people that I like in the audience, half of them I wish they went away. I never want to meet them. I don't like them. I don't respect them. I never want to meet them. The other half are people that they have a commitment to success or a commitment to excellence to be good at something. They're already good at something. Those people I do want to meet. They're already good at something. Maybe they went to college and they got a decent skill set. Maybe they were a military guy. Maybe they were, an artist. Or I have female clients. They're artists. They're business owners, but they're kind of tough people. They're already good at something, and they want my help to do better in a business context. Either entrepreneurship, real estate, something with the stock market. That they're doing good, but they know they could do a lot better, and that's who comes to me. And I think an overlap that between you and I and that type of person is that obsessiveness that, like, you know, the other 50% that I'm making fun of that I sincerely wish they'd go away. I don't just say that for, you know, what the f- are we going to do together? What am I going to do with some bum that they don't even love themselves enough to invest in themselves? They don't care about their own future to take it seriously. Like, I don't want to hang out with people like that. You don't hang out with people like that, do you?
No.
You can't. You can't hang out with people like that. So, you know, those people that want to do something, man, it's like, they got to understand that obsessiveness. If you want to be really great at something, you know, I worked 100 hours a week for more than 20 years of my life. And, you know, I haven't had a job since I was 19. I quit my last job when I was 19 years old. And I just worked on business. And, you know, when I wasn't doing something actively in my business, then I was learning something more about business. I was learning accounting and learning finance and 9 years in university. And, you know, that's all I did I didn't go in undergrad, I didn't go there to make friends with anybody. I have zero friends from undergrad. I have zero. And I have some professors that I'm still friends with. Some of my professors that I still keep in touch with, and I started a scholarship for one of them, and he's a great guy. He is my entrepreneurship professor. So, but man, you got to have to really be excellent at something. There has to be that obsessiveness, like a natural curiosity. That helps if you got a natural curiosity. And, you know, if you're not working, your competition is. So you got to have that type of personality that you can really dig into something. And when you know, there's some people, they just want to be motivated. They're like, Derek, you know, how do I stay motivated? And so, I'm not motivated all the time. Your motivation don't mean shit, though. You still have to be disciplined and do the thing that you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, especially at times that you don't want to. So agree or disagree?
Literally. That's what it says on my phone, discipline. I see it every day because there's a million people out here looking for that person to, what motivational quote do you need to get you going? Like, that's what, I get that all the time. Like, be more, what do you people say to you to get you motivated? I'm like, if you don't want to win, if you don't want to do it from yourself, if you need a coach to yell at you and scream at you and to push you and you're not willing to push yourself, then you don't really want it. And I tell these guys that all the time. If you're not willing to run 5 miles after a practice or to swim after a practice without your coach telling you, then you don't really want it. And 90% of these guys, they don't really want it. They talk about it. They want to post their pictures about it. They'll have their normal practice. But what are you doing on your own? Like, we have two sessions a day, but I'm training 3 other times a day on myself. Like I tell people all the time, there's always that extra you could do. Like, there's fighters out here with just natural punching power, fighters out here that are the longest arms, the longest legs. So that means I have to do extra. I have to get extra strength training in. I have to do extra cardio in. Because all that extra stuff, that's going to show in the fight. Like, I don't have the natural one-punch power. Those guys that do, they don't have to do the extra practice. They can just walk out there, oh, if I land this one punch. But then if you take those guys to deeper water, if you get those guys a little bit tired, that's when you see, oh, this guy really didn't work it. This guy, he thought that natural talent was going to get him somewhere. That natural talent ain't going to get you somewhere if you don't push it.
You've seen fighters, and I don't want to say anybody's name out of respect, but there's some OG fighters from yesteryear that, you know, from the UFC, they had extraordinary natural talent, but they get capped out after a point. That, you know, the rest of the world seen what they were doing, caught right up with them, and then, you know, they couldn't keep that momentum, you know.
Yeah, and you see that in all these sports where, like, you go to the gym, you'll see these kids playing basketball, and they have so much talent, and you're like, they're the Hall of Famers of the gym, and you're like, they always have that, oh, that guy got lucky. Somebody gave him that spot in the NBA. He only made it to the NBA because of this, and this. I should have been there. Oh, did you have the grades to go to college? Did you push yourself to study and do the extra stuff? You didn't. So don't sit there and blame it on somebody for their own success, their own hard work.
Nobody accidentally ends up on a mountain. You had to climb your ass up there.
Yeah.
You had to climb up there. It was cold. It was not fun. Your legs are fatigued. You had an injury or 3. Like, nobody accidentally ends up on a mountain or, you know, some peak beautiful place in the world. I never seen that happen. A guy that I really look up to and admire a lot was Warren Buffett's business partner. His name's Charlie Munger. Charlie is 98 years old right now. And Charlie says that the best way to get what you want in life is to deserve it. And I really took that to heart, that, like, I don't go around, when people write me, I have a lot of Instagram followers, and they write, Derek, how do I, what's the shortcut, blah, 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 what's the trick? They want me to tell them the new trendy thing, I'm like, well, none of the new trendy things will work if you don't have your fundamentals in place. If you don't have the core foundation of, like, the the stuff that's consistently been working for decades and centuries and millennia, like the new trendy thing will get you in more trouble than provide benefit. You're gonna, in your sport, you're going to get yourself injured. In my area of life, you're about to go bankrupt.
Yeah. That really clicks easy. I tell people all the time where they're like, oh, I want to do the new spin. Teach me the spinning elbow that what's face did. Or teach me the jumping flying knee. I'm like, keep your feet on the ground first. Learn the fundamentals of a straight jab, a straight cross, straight footwork. Like if you don't have the fundamentals of know how to move your feet or how to throw your straight punch without getting hit, then you can't throw that fun stuff. Like I always tell people, like, don't tell me I want to do a spin move while I'm playing basketball dribbling if you don't know how to dribble the ball first. You got to learn how to dribble first, learn how to chest pass first before you can throw behind your back, before you can throw a no look. Like everybody wants that shine first. Everybody wants the quick thing, but they don't realize what it takes to get to that first. You have to take the small steps first, but nobody wants to go through that.
I've been very privileged recently. I feel very fortunate that I had some amazing people come train with me recently, and you among them. Jake Shields comes and trains with me every 4 weeks. He's over here for 3 days, and a casual person in the audience might understand that, but that's that's a gift,
Yeah.
You can't buy that. You have to really like each other and get along, and then you can find other incentive structures. But Paulie Malignaggi, amazing guy, multi-time boxing champion, and really a very technical boxer that we get along great coach for me, and Mike Chandler was here with me recently. A lot of people come here, and I never ask any of them a shortcut. You never hear me say that to anybody. Not what's the shortcut, I said, what's the best way to do this? Is there a better way? What am I missing? And I ask questions like that. I don't want the shortcut.
Yeah.
I want to have like the rock solid foundation that I know that I'm doing, these many things just right, perfect, as close to perfect. And later on, I'll learn some more, fancy, the spinning elbow flip, blah, blah, blah. You see I'm very, athletic. But, actually, people have been giving me positive feedback that I do move pretty decent for my size.
No, I'm about to say you do move really good. Like you said, with the shortcuts wise, being in a gym, everybody's always asking me, how do you get abs? Or everybody's asking, does this diet work? Or does this cleanse work? I'm like, you're not gonna lose weight with one diet or one cleanse. Or you think that I literally had somebody tell me, oh, I lost 30 pounds. I'm like, oh, you lost 30? No way, what are you doing? Oh, I'm on an all liquid diet. I'm like, how long is that gonna last you? How long do you think you can just be on an all liquid diet for? I was like, you have to change.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I'd give up 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Be ready to turn to cannibalism. Look, man, I'm sorry to disappoint the ladies watching, but there are zero productive men. Unless you're a professional athlete, unless it's your job to have abs, if you're a male model, if you're an athlete, and it's your job to have abs, then that guy might be productive. Outside of that, there are no productive men with abs. The most productive men in the world, outside of that niche, they have one ab, just like mine. Mine happens to be a mighty ab. It's very strong, but they have one ab. So you can have a guy that's broke with abs. Again, unless your man is a male model, he probably ain't making much money.
I'm going to say he's still broke.
He's still broke, true. So unless your man is a pro athlete and a well-respected one, don't expect him to have abs. Just if you want a man that can take care of you, a man that's going to be financially and socially resourceful, he don't have abs. He got one ab. Hopefully it's a strong one. Just when I think about this, any of these, shortcut, the get rich quick. How do I get something I didn't deserve? When people write me that shit, I generally feel I'm just like, ugh. But I always think to myself, it's an inspiration to me to be farther away from that. I'm always like, what's the best way to do something? What's the way that if you really value a result, if I learned this the right way, I'd have a high probability to attain that result, And I think people really cheat themselves. And in my mind, I'm really curious what you'll say about it, but in my mind, like the real shortcut to success is stop wasting your time looking for some get rich quick, some, get magical results you don't deserve. Stop wasting your brain energy thinking about this, ludicrous, ridiculous ideas. And just find, the best coaches, the best trainers, and actually put in the work, and do more than they would expect.
Yeah.
Do more than they would expect. Have you found a better way than that?
No, I don't think there is. I think you just described it perfectly. I go through it, too, with people that are very close to me where they're asking me, trying to give me, oh, this business is going to work. This bit, could we invest in this? And I'm like, where's your business plan at? Show me your business plan. And I'll see if it's good enough, or I'll show it to somebody who does. Because if I have somebody that's in that type of business, then I'll show them your plan, and if they think it's worth it. Oh, I'm not. Oh, you don't want to help me out. Oh, wow. And it's like, I'm not just gonna write you a check for something. So that my biggest fear is going broke. My biggest fear is going back to what I struggling again. So like, I don't want to get back there again. So I'm never gonna be around people or give people money for no reason. And I tell people that all the time. Where like, if you don't really want to put the work in, if you want to, I'll invest in something if you have a great plan, a smart plan to do it. But if you're not even willing to write a plan, what makes you think that what makes me think that you're gonna be willing to run a business and me give you money that trust my money with you? And I tell people like, write the business plan. Otherwise, don't call me anymore. Don't waste my time, because it's a waste of time. It's like, just give me this check and I'll make it. I'll double it, triple it, quadruple it. And I'm like, show me how you're gonna do it.
They don't even know how. They're not going to do it. You already know the answer. They're not going to do it in real life. And if you got to put in the work up front. I thought to myself different times, like, I used to have this. It's not nice, but it was very effective. I had this saying in my head all through my 20s, early 30s, and maybe my late teenage years too. I would just like assess my current behavior. How am I spending my time in the moment? I'd be like, are you behaving like a champ or a chump? And that's not a nice thought to have in your head all fucking day. I would ask myself that way more than 10,000 times. Are you behaving like a champ or a chump? Meaning, are you engaging in a behavior that would lead to a high-level champion-type outcome, or just some mediocre, chump outcome,
Yeah.
And that's not a nice way to speak to oneself, but it got me results consistently. And I didn't have better tools at the time. I didn't have the best mentors or role models growing up, So that was, an effective tool. I found better ways to talk to myself, and I get better results now, But that was an effective tool that helped me separate, are you doing the most you could at the moment? Are you really doing everything you could? Is there a better way to be behaving? Like, what's the optimal use of my time right now? And, it's not fun, man. The answer was never, I should chill more. I should do a lot more chilling. So I think to myself that, like, anything new that a person starts is the default outcome is not something beautiful and majestic. The default outcome is really, a pile of crap that it's not going to turn out, nothing's going to turn out, beautiful without the effort. And I just am resigned to anything new that I want to do. I want to pay the price, do it the best way, not waste time. I don't want to waste time doing, if you're working hard on the wrong things, you're making things worse. So I'm willing to work hard. I'm happy to work hard, but I always want to have like the best training, coaches, teachers. That I want to know that I'm doing the right things. That things we're going to get a great outcome over time, and that it's like you said, like you don't want to go back to worse circumstances. So like, why you want to build a castle on a weak foundation? How's that going to work out long term? It really can't.
Yeah, and I'm going through that right now with my brothers. We're trying to open up a business, and like I tell them, they work right now. They have a comfortable job. They're set. They know they're getting a certain paycheck. But I'm like, if you open up this, you got to be willing to not get that paycheck right now. You're not going to get that money when you're first starting out. You have to be willing to work the 12 hours and get no money at all. Money's going to go right back into the business. And it's like they're not willing to make that sacrifice. And I'm like, if you're not willing to make it, then I'm not going to be willing to invest in it. So I'm not going to waste my time with it. Oh, let's get workers. I'm like, no, we have to be in there. This is our store. You want to open up this business. Like, it's not just going to come out there making $1 million in a day. We have to build it up, promote it, push it. And once people realize it, know about it, then that's when the money's going to come in. But that's not going to come overnight. It's going to take years. Same thing with fighting. Same thing with anything. It's going to take years to actually see the fruits of your labor.
You got to live like a champ. You got to live like that. If you're not living your life in alignment with the goal, before you attain the goal, you can't have the goal. You have to be living like a champ to get that belt around the waist. You got to be living like an entrepreneur to get the entrepreneurial outcomes. And a person that just wants I heard entrepreneurs make a lot of money and they don't have a boss. You got to be a cruel boss. You got to be the meanest boss to yourself ever, and and have that discipline when you don't have the motivation. You'd be like, well, the success gods don't care if I'm motivated today. The success gods don't care if I got a little headache. Success gods don't care if you got a little tummy ache or a little injury from something or a bruise somewhere. Success gods don't care. You got to go put in the work.
Yeah, like you said, what's the other guy doing right now? What's my opponent doing right now? So I always tell myself, oh, he's definitely running right now. I gotta outrun him right now. I gotta work him right now. I'm tired. I just want to fight, but I'm right back into the gym. There's guys that I know that they want to fight. They're going on vacation. They're going 2 weeks in Mexico, and they're not coming back until they get another fight. Me, I know these other guys are working. Like you said, you got to train like a champ. The champ's 100%. He's in shape right now. He's working right now. He got a fight coming up soon. So I got to be willing to work as hard as them right now and still honing my skills, bettering my skills. I got to be a different fighter from my last fight. And that's what I always try to be. Every fight I try to bring something new in. But if I'm only training when I have a fight, when I have to come back from Mexico and I'm going to be 40 pounds overweight, then my first 3 weeks of camp, I'm getting in shape. And then the last 3 weeks of, all right, now I'm worried about this opponent. No, I want to be in shape before the camp even starts. So the whole 6 weeks, I'm worried about nothing but the opponent, worried about nothing but the matchup. And a lot of guys don't understand that. A lot of guys, they get too comfortable at the highest level. They get too comfortable with their success that they don't want to work on the other little things. They don't want to work on fundamentals anymore. They're comfortable just going in there. Let me just go sparring. Let me just go straight to rolling, not worried about technique. And then when these other guys that are worried have their technique right, they have their fundamentals right, where they're not dropping their hands, they're not getting tired, they're not getting hit with these extra shots that you're getting hit with because you were lazy on the off season. MMA, there's no off season. There's not like NBA where you have 82 games. I could fight at any moment the UFC could call. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not willing to step up, I just lost that opportunity. I just lost that paycheck if I say I can't do it. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be the guy that ever say I can't do it. I want to be like, all right, give me the date, send me the contract.
And on top of all those skills, which is immense, it takes years and years to develop a champion skill set, or the skill set that you currently have to be a top contender. How long did it take you to build it?
Literally 15 years of nothing but grinding and hard work and just pushing myself, just being willing to do it.
Then on top of that skill set, how much time you got to put in to keep your cardio in the shape it is? You got amazing cardio.
Literally, I tell people all the time, 1 week off and you lose it all. So I have to still be willing to. I'll take 2 days off of after the fight, but it's all right, now I'm gonna at least get a jog, and now I'm gonna at least get a basketball game in or something like that. Cardio is the hardest thing. Cardio is the thing that I had one fight in my life, in my third pro fight, where I got tired in a fight, and I was like, I never want to have this feeling again, because when you're in a fight and you can't pick up your hands and you're laying on top of somebody, you're begging for the clock to run out, and I'm like, I never want to have that feeling again. I never want to have that feeling of looking at the clock, have the feeling of, please clock run out, please clock run out. It's almost time, it's almost time. I never want to have that feeling. I want to have that feeling of making these guys think that. I know Wonder Boy was thinking in his head, please, how much more minutes do I have to deal with this? I want him to think please hurry up, speed up this clock, fast forward it. I'm done. I don't want to do this no more. I want to give these guys that feeling. I never want to have that feeling in my life. And ever since then, I was like, I'm going to push myself harder than any of these guys ever pushed.
Yeah, man. I had a chat with Chuck Liddell recently, and Chuck was saying that, when you see, even if you're exhausted in a fight, you're between rounds and you might feel awful inside. They say you got to keep your game face on. You got to look composed, keep your game face on. And you never want to see your opponent to see you looking weak or looking exhausted. And he said there's times that he'd look across the ring during a break in the fight between rounds, and you see your opponent looking exhausted, and it gives you a new inspiration that you put in that work ahead of time, and you're like, I got this. I can push harder now.
Yeah, for me now, I know if I'm a little bit tired, I know he's a lot tired. I know that when I see him breathing hard or I take him down, I hear a little grunt, and that pushes me. And now it's like a shark, blood in the water. I'm a shark, and I'm like, let's go. And now I'm going to keep going. Now I get my second win. That's where I usually get my second win, when I see them just a little bit. I see a little tell. Like I said, I play poker, so I see your facial expression. I know if I see you look up 1 second at the clock, and I'm like, oh, he's tired. There's a reason he's looking at the clock right now. You just gave me your tell. Now I got to move forward even more, and you're almost at your breaking point.
Word. Man, I appreciate you sharing some of those, the tougher details of that. I love creating more success. I spend money every day, so I think I'm supposed to make money every day. I love more prosperity. For me, I focus a lot of my life on finances, and you see in recent time that I want to develop a MMA skill set that it's good for me to keep my physique, get my physique better, keep my physique better, and learn skills that give a man a rightful confidence into old age, that you be in your 50s and 60s and I'm not trying to be a tough guy with nobody, but you know you can beat the hell out of a normal guy that would, make a bad mistake and put his hands on you, So I'm very excited about what you're doing, and I'm learning from the ground up, from fantastic guys who did it at the top, that it's a tough grind. It's all the little detail and minutia and training the same thing. When Chandler and I were training recently, it's like we probably worked on a single leg more than 100 times, just working on single leg, single leg, single leg, single leg, another 50 times, 60 times, double leg, and just getting the tiny details that somebody might do it 3 times and they're like, oh, I got it. And like, nah, man, there's more nuance, So when you can really learn that those tiny details, and then and see the energy and the effort that goes into that. I just have tremendous respect for your sport, and it's the only sport that I pay any attention to. I'm not really a sports guy, but it's the only one I pay any attention to, and have a lot of respect for what you do. And you had a fantastic your last fight. I was in the second row. You did a fantastic job. Looked amazing, and what are some other things you're up to in life away from that? So you got a new clothing deal.
Thank you. Yeah, signed up with Young LA. They're a huge brand, pretty great brand in Los Angeles. They have sponsors here in Chicago as well. Very great clothing. I've been training in it now, been working out in it. Really good, very comfortable, very affordable for people that are stuck with the Lululemon stuff. I think it's the same type of quality, working with them. And like you said now, I see your plaques on the wall, and I've seen people on Facebook with like these new plaques. And one guy, he's like posted something about $1 million in ClickFunnels. And I messaged him, and I'm trying to reach out to him. And he's trying to explain to me ClickFunneling, and he thinks that I could do some sort of workout routine online for people and building them up with that too. So I'm just trying to learn these things. And
those are the $1 million ones over there. Those are for rookies. But that one there, that's the $10 million one. You teed it up, so I'm bringing it over here.
Yeah.
This is the $10 million one from ClickFunnels. So, and that's to commemorate that. I started a business from nothing, from day one. In about 18 and a half months, I had $10 million in revenue in my current business. So there's 103 of these in the world. There's 103 of these in the world. So I really live entrepreneurship. I grew up that way. I made my first entrepreneurial dollar when I was 7. And I grew up poor. I went to business school twice. I have Jewish ancestry, so I have every motivation that I'm supposed to go get some money.
Yeah.
And my clients are very successful. But if you want to help with some entrepreneurial thing, happy to do my part to as sure as you could train me some fighting techniques that'd be very beneficial to me. There's some things I know about business.
Definitely, yeah.
Be very happy to help with. How do they find you on social media, man?
You can find me on social media, BullyB170 on Instagram, BullyB170 on Twitter, and Belal Muhammad on Facebook. Very active, so reach out, comment. I respond to mostly everybody, unless you're a troll.
Belal, you're the man. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you so much for the lessons earlier. Thanks for taking time to share your story a bit and some of your successes with the audience. Success is a lifestyle choice. Be a chooser, not a loser. Be a baller, not a faller. If you're supposed to work together, you got a calling you have that obsession that you need to make some money. You have make a better life for yourself. Be a maximum wage earner, not a minimum wage earner. We don't talk to people. That's for somebody. Go to a different channel if you're okay with minimum wage. Go somewhere else if you're okay with a mediocre wage. If you want help with a maximum wage, I'd love to help you. If you're willing to work hard, you're already good at something, you want to be good in business as well, happy to help you. But you got to be willing to help yourself. Do the right thing.
I was living on my coach's living room on a mattress. I ended up just bouncing at a bar. I'd been a cop. I quit my job. And
Derek Moneyberg presents 10 Commandments of Wealth.
Took the gamble on myself to become a successful professional fighter and make it to the UFC with pride. And at the time,
am I making a sacrifice right now, or am I just investing in a better future? So it's easier for me to make those decisions when I think about it as like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that you mention it, having to actually really process and think about it, I think that word sacrifice is kind of like, I believe it's the word that the ones at the top kind of use to make everyone else feel better about it. Because when you're at the top, now you realize that was an investment.
Was everything just golden and easy and handed to you, or do you have a little struggle yourself along the way?
No. Yeah, in 2013 and 2015, I was living out of my car, full time, and I was too proud to ask for help. Like, how ridiculous is that? You're living out of your car and you think you know it all. And 2015, that's when I kind of I knew that I didn't know it all. So why not find experts in that and really shortcut that? I thought I was going to just chip away. I thought I was just going to read books till I was an expert. I never really talked to anyone that actually did it.
It's been about a week since I've joined the 10 Commandments of Wealth program, and there's so many interviews that are offered in this program. I'm inside the Derek Moneyberg 10 Commandments of Wealth program. This is an awesome program that you're gonna love. I'm gonna use the principles and the knowledge from this program to help me boost my leads in my marketing firm. Buy this program, it's a wonderful investment for your future. You won't regret it and you'll absolutely love it.